Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Heather and I'm here with a video that I have been planning on doing and talking about doing for quite some time now, and it's finally happening. I am reading Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom for the first time. If you haven't seen my channel, I kind of have a series of reading popular book series for the first time. I have a few different episodes, but it's been a while since I did one. So I will link the playlist if you want to see. I have videos of me reading Lord of the Rings and Hunger Games and Maze Runner. That might be all of them that I have right now. But I wanted to add another episode to this series with Six of Crows Crooked Kingdom. This is one of the most hyped up, most loved books on the internet. I feel like everybody is obsessed with this one. A lot of people tell you to skip the Shadow and Bone trilogy. I actually read that first. I read it last year in the fall. So it's been about a year since I read that trilogy. I was hoping to get to these sooner, but I didn't get to them in the fall season and they just felt like good fall books. So I put it off until now, but it's finally happening. I have started Six of Crows if you see my bookmark. I am about 60 pages in. I'm on chapter 4. So I'm going to go ahead and bring you along. I thought I should hurry and get this started before I read too much of these books. This is going to be a full spoilers video. If you are wanting my spoiler-free review, keep an eye out for my next reading wrap-up. These will probably be in my November wrap-up, so if you want spoiler-free, sorry, you're gonna have to wait a little bit longer. I might in the comments add just like a quick synopsis spoiler-free review for you, but more will be coming. So if you don't want spoilers on these books, thank you for coming. Thank you for clicking on the video. I'll see you in the next one. For those of you that are good with spoilers, this is gonna be my full spoiler reading vlog. What I've gotten to so far, you have been introduced to kind of the first one. So the prologue, is it the prologue or is it just chapter 1? Introduces this kind of cast of characters. You have some of the Grisha, I think that's how you say it, that are being tested on basically with this drug that enhances their powers. So you see kind of this testing scene and then you jump to this crew, this criminal crew, I guess would be the best way to put it, as they're having this parlay with another group, and you kind of basically just gotten introduced to the characters. And then Kaz, who is the main one, I think that's how you say it, I don't really know, he gets this offer for a lot of money to pull off this heist-ish. They're like trying to get somebody that has been captured away from somebody else, but there's a lot of political things going on with it, and so the guy's trying to hire somebody to go and do it that doesn't have political ties. And so they decide to take this on. They are going to try and break into the, what was it called? Ice Court. I don't remember if the Ice Court is a thing that we mentioned in Shadow and Bone. I have not a lot of memories of that book, to be honest. Like, I remember the plot, but details are a little hit and miss for me, so we'll see how well I'm able to make the connections between the two series, because they're set in the same world and I believe around the same time period. Not 100% sure on that, we'll see. But so far it's fun. I like the characters. We've got some interesting characters. I'm intrigued about how this is gonna go. I'm interested to see how they pull off this heist. Good heist book's always fun. I'm really interested in Nej. I think that's I don't know how you say any of these names. I'm just gonna say it, and if I'm getting them totally wrong, I'm sorry, but she is kind of their like really good at sneaking around character in the crew. She seems like she's gonna be fun. So that's where I am at so far. Really just the introduction of the characters and getting kind of the setup. We're about to go on this heist. He's got to put together a crew for it. It'll be fun. And it all has to do with some kind of drug they're testing on the Grisha. So I will continue to give you my thoughts as I read, but welcome to another video and we'll dive right into it. I'm about 150 pages through this book. I'm on chapter 12. It's going good so far. I thought I'd give you a quick update. We figured out what the main heist is going to be in this book, and then we had to do a little bit of a sub-heist, jailbreak, in order to get the crew together. So there was somebody that they needed. They're trying to break into the Ice Court. I can't remember if I said that or not. And they needed to break somebody out of prison because he had inside information. He was like from there, and so he knows the lay of the Ice Court. So they went and broke him out of prison in order to use him as part of the crew. So we already have done one whole heist, and now we have the final crew together. You have Kaz, the main guy. You have Nej, who's the like sneaky person. Then you have Nina, who is a heartrender, which you know from the first book, and they've kind of explained that she's a Grisha. She has powers to basically manipulate people's organs and bodies. So like, I don't know, stuff like that. And then you have Jesper, who's their sharpshooter. You have Matthias, who is the one that they rescued from prison. He's Fjerdan. So he's actually from the place. And then you have Wylan, who is the son of the merchant that hired them. And again, this is full spoilers, so you should not be watching if you were not looking for spoilers. But he is also their like explosives guy. So that's what's happening. They're trying to get on the boat right now to head off to go do their main heist, to break this guy out of prison that is creating this drug. Or he's not, sort of in prison. The Fjerdans have him, and so they're trying to break him out because he's trying to make some kind of drug, and they don't want that drug to get on the market, and so they're going to take him out of play. So that's where we're at. They're trying to get on the boat right now. Things are going very poorly. There are other teams that are trying to, or like other, I guess teams is probably the wrong word, other groups, other gangs maybe, that are also trying to accomplish this, and so we're having our first run-in with one of those other groups. But yeah, so far it's going really good. I'm getting through it very quickly now that I'm back from spending a weekend down in Utah. So overall it's good. I'm liking the characters. There's been some funny moments already. I like the little snippets of humor in there, and I think I really like the crew that they put together. So I'm excited about that. I think this is gonna be a fun one. I don't know, I'm assuming we finished the heist in this book, and then I don't know what the second book is, but we'll see. I will update you. I'm going to keep reading. I'll probably check in another like 100 pages or so, maybe 150, and let you know what's going on. I am on chapter 23. I'm 286 pages through this book. We've started the like big heist now, so I'm trying to remember where it was when I last updated you. I think they had just started out. Let's see, what was that, 150? A lot has happened. So okay, so they were just about to set out in the last update. They were like trying to get on the boat. Things were crazy. They got on the boat. They got to the place that they were needing to go. They've gone through this whole trek through the wilderness, and their plan to get into this ice court is to get themselves taken in as prisoners and then work their way through the building and leave as if they were there for the big ceremony celebration thing that's happening. So that's what their plan is. They just barely went and did the prisoner swap. So they went and they got some of the prisoners out of the cart that was getting taken in. They put themselves in. They're now in the jail. They've been separated, so the guys and girls are in two different areas in the prison. We've learned through this period a lot of their backstories, which has been really interesting. We've gotten a lot. There's two characters, Nina and Matthias, who have some kind of history, and you've gotten a lot of their background. So that's been interesting. I feel like you understand their relationship pretty well. We're starting to get more of Kaz's background, which is fun. The two that we haven't really, I mean, we got a little bit about Wylan. He's like the merchant's son. We don't know a ton about him. We haven't really gotten anything about Jesper. There's like little bits and pieces here, and we know a little bit about Inej. But really the main two that has been focusing on, I feel like, are Nina and Matthias. So, but their backgrounds seem to apply to the plot more because Matthias is obviously from there, and so you're learning about why he was in prison in Ketterdam and why they had to break him out. And then Nina was involved in the whole process of him, or like the whole story of him getting brought away from his home country. So you're learning a lot there. I'm very interested. I'm really liking Kaz and Inej. I think that they're my favorite. Jesper is like the funny little side character that brings a little bit of humor to it. He's kind of psycho, but I really like Jesper too. Nina and Matthias are fine. I feel like it's one of those things where you're like, they're obviously in love with each other, but they also hate each other's guts, and it just, I feel like those storylines get a little bit drug out sometimes. So I'm ready for things to kind of move on and for them to sort it out. They've made a little bit of an alliance now because they both agree that the guy that they are trying to break out of the ice court needs to die. And so they're both planning on killing him. while everybody else is planning on delivering him for the money. So that's kind of where we're at. They just got taken into prison. We're waiting for them to break out of the cells in order to go and do all the stuff that they have planned inside of the ice court. But most likely I'm going to end up finishing this. It's been going very fast and I feel like when I get into it, I don't really want to stop and update. So unless something like really crazy happens and I have thoughts, I'll probably finish the book and then kind of give you an update on it. We have a very slow day today at work, so I might take it with me and do some reading there because we have no students at the school today. So that's what's happening. It's going well so far. We're fully into the throes of the heist. I'm loving the characters. I'm having a good time. Alright, I've finished Six of Crows. I just barely finished it. Last time I updated you, they were just barely had broken into the prison and gotten themselves taken captive. So then you follow this whole process of them going through the heist and getting the person they're there for. There's a lot of crazy things. I feel like the whole book you were trying to figure out several of the characters, where their loyalties lie, and you're not really sure. And there's definitely a lot of like twisty-turny where you think you figured out a character and then something happens and you're like, wait, did I not figure them out? And then something happens again and you're like, okay, well now they're doing this. So specifically the Matthias character, his loyalties go back and forth so many times that you're not really sure until pretty far into the book where exactly he's gonna land as far as his loyalties. They do the deal, they get the king, they go to do the trade, and the merchant is crooked, and he not only does not go through with the deal, but he also kidnaps Inej to hold her. Well, so the merchant's son, Wylan, who is in their little crew, comes to Kaz and is like, I know my dad's crooked. He's not going to go through with this deal. And so they do some changing things. They put Wylan in place of the person that they're supposed to be doing. They like change his face and stuff so he looks like the guy that they were supposed to rescue. And then when the merchant finds out that it's his son, not the person he wanted, he takes Inej captive and tells Kaz that he's got like, what, a week to turn over the right person, or he won't get Inej back. So that's where the book ends. And then he goes and makes a deal with Pekka Rollins, who hasn't been a huge character. He is who Kaz blames for his older brother's death. And so the whole book, he's kind of got this grudge where he's planning to like take Pekka down. And at the very end of this book, you find out that he actually let him out of prison because he had a crew that was also trying to break into the ice court, and most of his crew got caught and killed. Kaz finds him in prison, lets him go, says, you owe me a debt. So then he comes to collect and says, I need funding. I'm going to war with this merchant, who is Vanek. I don't know if I said that. So that's where this book ends. I'm definitely going to be jumping right into the next book because that is quite the cliffhanger to leave off on. This book went really, really fast. I feel like with everybody skipping Shadow and Bone, I kind of expected this one to feel really different from Shadow and Bone since everybody says you don't like to skip that one, but I feel like they feel very similar. They're written in a very similar style. I feel like the story pacing and things like that are all very similar to what Shadow and Bone was. So I'm not 100% sure. The characters are definitely different. That one has a little bit more of like your hero type characters, and this one's a little bit more of your like anti-hero characters, but overall I feel like they're written very similarly. So I still stand by, I mean I haven't finished the duology, but I still stand by that you should read Shadow and Bone first, just because it's good. It's set before these book. It gives you some extra content and a lot more world building about the Grisha. It's like that one focuses so specifically on Ravka, and then this one expands it out into a bunch of the other countries that are surrounded that you hear a little bit of in Shadow and Bone, but you don't see a ton of them. So I definitely think having the base of knowing about the different powers and different things like that, like it makes sense in this book. I think you could follow it, but I don't feel like you get quite, like, there's definitely not the level of world building in this book because Shadow and Bone exists. And so if you're someone who really like wants the world to make sense and wants things to be explained, you need to read Shadow and Bone first, because this one won't explain them, because all of that happens in Shadow and Bone. So that's where I'm at. Really enjoying it. I'm not sure what I'm going to rate this book quite yet. I'll have to think about that one a little bit. Definitely at least a 4-star. I don't know if it's quite higher than that. I feel like this one's probably more like a solid 4-star. And I'm thinking Crooked Kingdom could potentially be higher. We'll see. But I'm going to go start the second book, and I will update you when I'm a little bit of the way into that one. Okay, really quickly, because I'm about to go to work. I am on part 3 of Crooked Kingdom. Let's see, how many pages is that? Where's the page number? Almost 150 pages through, so getting a good way through the book. Let's see, when was the last time I talked to you? It was at the very end of Six of Crows, I believe. We've been going through the whole process of getting Inej back from the merchant. They just barely, the point that I'm at, they just barely got her rescued, but things have gone terribly wrong. There are some people there hunting the Grisha, which we know Nina is one, Jesper is one, and so things have gotten really messy really quick. But they go through the whole thing, really the whole getting Inej back, pretty, not straightforward, but like, I don't think that's the full point of the book, right? Kaz has some kind of plan to try and make the merchant pay for crossing them. We're not sure what it is yet. He doesn't really keep his team in the loop super well, so unsure on that, but it's good. Definitely going very fast. This book has gotten to the point where I'm like, I don't want to go to work, I don't want to do anything, I just want to finish this book. I'm very curious about where we're going with this. It seems like they're maybe gonna have to take on some larger picture kind of a thing, and I think these guys are gonna end up basically being the heroes of the book. We'll see. Again, I think they're a little more anti-hero than anything else, but this book is pretty thick. It's a chunky book, so we've got a lot of room for things to happen still. It's like almost 550 pages, so it's a pretty good sized book. So I'm interested to see where we go with this. I will check in with you guys when I've read a little bit more and know kind of where we're headed, but I'm liking it so far. I'm still liking the characters. We've had some interesting, there's some fun duos within their little group. It's interesting that they are kind of hiding out from the whole gang that they're a part of, and I guess my biggest thing that I'm interested in at this point is where we're going to end up at the end of the book, because I don't know that they can like stay doing what they were doing at the beginning of the book. Like, I think it's going to get to the point where they have to kind of pick a different plan of what they're going to do after all of the events of this happen. So I'm interested to see if everybody actually survives the book. I don't know. I could kind of see her not letting them all survive, but you never know. I don't feel like she really killed off main characters in Shadow and Bone, but you know, could still happen. So we'll see. I'm excited. I'm enjoying it. I'm cruising through the book. The end of the last book had definitely some crazy stuff, but this one, they're functioning well as a team now. So that's kind of nice. You're seeing them actually work smoothly as a team as they all try and get Inej back. But now they have her. So now we'll see what happens next. I think they're going to have to take on this other group called the Shu that are here hunting the Grisha. They seem pretty powerful. From what we've seen of them, they can fly, they can like smell out the Grisha, so they can spot them immediately in the crowd no matter how well disguised they are, and they're like have their bodies lined with metal so you can't shoot them. So it looks like it's gonna be a pretty tense thing. It looks like it's gonna be a full-out like battle that's happening, not just a heist. So we'll see where they go with this one. I'll check in with you guys later, but it's going well. Let's chat for a second. I am on page 380, chapter 28. Things are going terribly wrong in their plan. They are pretty much everything that could go wrong has gone wrong. We're in terrible point in the plan. We're on like plan D at this point. Like, they keep having to remake the plan because so many things have gone wrong. Several of them are severely injured at this point. It's like not going good. So the evil merchant guy that they are trying to go up against, they were trying to take him down, right? And then there's the gang other gang boss that Kaz has issues with. Those two teamed up, and so they ended up foreseeing everything that Kaz was going to do. They brought in this assassin specifically to best Inej. There's this whole scene with her on like a high wire on some silos, and she's like trying to fight an assassin and then she falls. Luckily Nina somehow manages to raise the dead basically and have them put a nav just in time. So they're alive. They are regrouping, making a new plan. Pekka, who is like Pekka Rollins, is the other gang boss. I can't remember how much of this I've actually explained, but he has basically gotten, in his partnership with the merchant, has gotten it so that they have deputized all of the other gangs to search for this little team. And so it happened to include the Crows, which is Kaz's old gang, and Inej and Jesper, they're all part of that one. Wylan was part of it too for a minute, but, and I guess technically Nina. They kind of all were except Matthias, but anyway, so Kaz has come up with a new plan to try and take them down. He just went and had this crazy fight scene to kind of retake his place at the top of the Crows because he needs a bigger team for his new plan. So that's where we're at on that. Jesper's dad showed up. I don't know that I've talked about that at all. Jesper had gambled away the rights to his dad's farm or something, so the bank had reached out to his dad, so his dad shows up. And his dad thought that he was at university. And so we have this whole thing going on with him and his dad. Kaz's new plan actually involves Jesper's dad. So his dad is now getting in on it. Things are going wild. So that's where we're at in the plot. It's getting very good. The other random total side note, nothing to do with the plot. I don't know if it's just my copy or what, but there were probably 30 pages that were out of order in this book. So I got to one point where it just like skipped and I was like, what is happening? Am I missing pages? But then I kept reading and all of a sudden I found the page. So there was, yeah, probably like 30 pages that were just completely out of order. So I was having to flip back and forth. So I don't know. I got this a few years ago. I got a box set from Costco that was like pretty cheap of all 5 books of Shadow and Bone, Six of Crows, Crooked Kingdom. And I'm wondering if maybe that's why it was so cheap, because they had some misprints where the pages are super out of order. So hopefully that doesn't happen again and it's just that one part of the book, because it was kind of annoying to try and figure out where I was. But they seem to be back in order now, so things are going smoothly. I'm going to really try and see if I can finish this tonight, because I just need to know what's happening, because things have gotten a little bit crazy. So I am going to try and speed read. I don't know if I'll update you again before I finish the book. We'll see if I have any like pressing thoughts, but I'm thinking I'll probably finish it and then check in with you and give you my final thoughts on everything. I finished Crooked Kingdom, so it's time to give you my final thoughts on this book. First, I catch up on kind of the plot at the end of the book. When I last talked to you guys, everything was kind of falling apart with their plan that they were working on at the moment. Things went awry. They all ended up regrouping. Basically, their new plan, what it is the boy that they kidnapped from the, or I guess rescued, kidnapped, take it as you will, from the ice court in book 1. He's been with them this whole time, and he decides to put himself up for auction to be like an indentured servant kind of a thing. They basically set this trap where they're able to bring in, they start this auction, they get a whole bunch of proof that, or not like proof, right, that the merchant that they're trying to bring down is crooked. And because he's been partnered with Pekka Rollins, they are able to take him down too. It gets really complicated. There's this whole thing. I won't go into all of it. I know this is like a spoiler vlog, but I'm not like trying to recap the whole plot. You have some characters from the Shadow and Bone series that get much more heavily involved, especially at the end of this book. You see Genya and Zoya and Sturmhond / Nikolai. Which is an interesting thing, because if you didn't read Shadow and Bone, when he first shows up, if you've read the series, then you know that Nikolai and Sturmhond are the same person, right? That's his like pirate privateer alter ego, and he's the king. If you hadn't read that, you don't know it immediately. It does tell you pretty soon after, but you have that little bit of time where you know if you've read Shadow and Bone, and you don't if you didn't. So I thought that was interesting. I also feel like you're just missing a lot of background on some of those characters. It'd be a little bit weird, I think, to see them all of a sudden step into such a large role if you hadn't read Shadow and Bone to know those characters already. And some of them, like Zoya's not a character that I like super remember from the first book. I remember Genya. That was a fun little thing. I hope we see more of them. I know the duology after this is the King of Scars duology, and I know that that one follows Nikolai primarily, and so I'm very excited for that one. I definitely will be reading that one probably next year sometime. The ending of this book, I'm a little undecided on how I feel about it. Overall, I think it's fine. It's one of those endings where it kind of, like, it wraps up enough that you can kind of assume where things are going. And you've heard a lot about everybody's plans for what they want to do after they finish the job and they got their money, right? We've been hearing their plans since book 1 about what they want to do with all this money that they were supposed to get from that job. And you get to the point where things are kind of wrapped up enough that they can go start doing those plans, but you don't actually get to see them happen. So I don't know how many of those storylines get carried over into the King of Scars duology. I have no idea. I've heard that Nina is in King of Scars, so I think we might get a little bit of her storyline, which is interesting because right at the end of the book, we finish the job, we're wrapping up a few lessons, freaking Matthias dies. I was like, what? Which on one hand, mad props to an author to be willing to kill off a main character like right at the end of a duology. Like, that's a gutsy move. On the other hand, I'm not very happy about it. So, I don't know. I respect her for having the guts to do that. I'm not thrilled about it. So I think that's probably why Nina's in the next duology, is because she's the most unconclusive, unsatisfying ending of everybody. The rest of them you kind of feel pretty settled about. Nina, not so much. So that's where the book ends. I have no idea how many of these characters actually show up in the next duology other than I've heard Nina. So that's what I thought. I thought this was good. I think it's probably like a 4.5 star too. They're not perfect books in my mind, but they're good. It really kept me hooked. So that's where I stand on this duology. I think it was good. I still would say read Shadow and Bone first. I don't know why everybody skips it. It's so good. They feel very similar. They're both like the same era of YA fantasy. So I don't know why you'd skip Shadow and Bone. The plot, like, Shadow and Bone is very war book, and this is very heist. So I guess that is like the main difference between the tone of the books and kind of the general overall vibe of them. But I do think read Shadow and Bone. You do need to read it before this if you're going to read it, because this definitely spoils a lot of that book. So there is that. But there's also just like so many little things in Shadow and Bone that makes you know, like, you're just kind of in the know, you know, all these little secrets. Like, they talk a lot about, and I'm gonna fully spoil Shadow and Bone, which, like, if you're watching this, you've kind of already had it spoiled for you, so whatever. But Alina's not dead at the end of Shadow and Bone. And in this book, everybody thinks she is. She has, like, faked her death in order to get out of spotlight and stop having to be, like, this figurehead. And so it's interesting to see all of them talk about her and how she's now like a saint. And then you see like Genya almost slip up and like say that she's alive, but you wouldn't have caught any of that because you wouldn't know if you hadn't read Shadow and Bone. So there's things in these that definitely call back to the series that are not going to prevent you from understanding what's happening, but they give you so much deeper context for some of these characters, especially ones that repeat. So that's where I stand on Shadow and Bone. It was a really good duology. I see why people love it so much, but I am team read Shadow and Bone first. So that is the end of the video. Let me know what books you would like me to see me do in this series of reading popular book series for the first time. I do know what my next one is going to be, and I guess I might as well just say it. It's gonna be Harry Potter. I'm gonna do Harry Potter in December. I'm probably gonna split it into 2 videos, so I'll probably read the first half in December, and then sometime at the beginning of next year, I'll read the second half of the series. But let me know what other ones you think I should do. I will link the playlist somewhere that has the rest of the videos in this series so that you can go watch them if you would like. But with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and leave you here. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one very soon. Bye.